I welcome Dr. Paolo Morley-Fletcher to the dance. Thanks.
Hello, everyone. What a delight to be here with all of you today. Such a gorgeous day. And I'm most grateful to be here in India again. Such an extraordinary land with a very deep wisdom and history, and the land of Mahatma Gandhi. I'm most grateful to be honoring today in this conference. And this conference is so beautifully organized with such an amazing panel of sages and scientists brought together. And I'm most touched and blessed by the remarkable opening and inauguration and the talk address, the very inspiring words from Satish. Thank you. So namaste and good morning again to everyone. I'm Paolo Morley-Fletcher. I'm a strategist, I'm an educator, and I am a seeker, like probably most of you here today. And I would like to open up a reflection as we set the stage to create a sustainable future today. A reflection around three concepts, three words that are so vital today in this world. Wisdom, consciousness, and peace. How these three come together to integrate, to heal within ourselves, among one another, and in the world at large. So, before I begin, I would just like for you to just create space and breathe into these three words: wisdom, consciousness, and peace. And there's a lot of wisdom here in the room. There's probably a great sense of consciousness, and maybe also a longing for peace. So I would like to invite each and every one of you to just breathe for a moment. Breathe into these three words. So take a deep breath and just breathe into the ground, into the land. And as if your feet were roots, breathe into the earth. And from the earth, breathe up along the spine, up to the crown, like if you were a tree reaching up to the sky. Now breathe into the center, to the center of your being, right into your heart, where the above and below, the earth and the sky, meet. Just stay there for a little while. And as you breathe, let your breath create the space that you need for a sustainable future. And in your own way, through the silence of your breath, just allow your breath to connect you with wisdom, with your own sense of wisdom. What do you see? What do you sense wisdom is for you? In your work, in your leadership, in the world at large. Just breathe. Feel. And through the breath, now allow yourself to engage with consciousness. There's a sense of consciousness. How does consciousness show to you in your work, in the world? And finally, as you breathe, breathe into peace. Sense the peace within and around you. How does it come? How does it show up in you? What do you sense when there is peace within and around you? So thank you for holding the space, for breathing together as one. And I'd just like to maybe invite you to make gold of these insights you got. They might have come as thoughts, they might have come as emotions or feelings. Just let them be with you as we set a bridge to integrate science and spirituality, to unite as sages and scientists in the leaders that we are. And maybe I'll just start from here, from integrating and the word integration. And I think that leadership at large is the glue that is supposed to align, hold and integrate opposite views. And in a way, wisdom is what allows us to see, sense, and integrate, to heal the fragmentation, to heal the disconnection, the disintegration in consciousness at all levels. We mentioned the ecological level, the social level, and the spiritual level. So let's explore wisdom. And wisdom is a beautiful word and is often misinterpreted. There are many definitions associated with wisdom. And I'd like to start by saying that wisdom is not really knowledge. It's not something that we accumulate, that we possess, but rather something that we access within. And there are different definitions. But if we look just at Sanskrit, there are two beautiful words in Sanskrit. One is viveka, if I pronounce it correctly, where vik is about seeing as discerning. So to discern as a way to create balance. And prajna, or pragna, that is the mix of jna, from where the verb to know in English comes from, and pra means to know intensely within. So just these two words tell us that wisdom is something more, greater, that goes beyond knowledge. And I wonder whether somehow wisdom is about seeing, about sensing, as if we are able to sense with all our senses, and that way we are able to see, as if we get a sixth sense. And what I found most fascinating is that in English, the word wisdom actually comes from the Proto-Indo-European root, vid, which translated in Latin, the root was derived in Latin, came videre, which means to see. And with avidya, another Sanskrit word, that means ignorance. Ignorance as not being able to see. What we don't see, there's ignorance. Visual. And exactly, so from Latin, the videre then also comes visus, which is eyesight. And from visus came, in English, vision, more as an inner sight. So it's beautiful that if we just blend all these words, we get a sense of something that is more forming inside, as an inner sight, as an insight. So, in such a way, wisdom to me speaks as something that moves inside, that allows us to see. And it is an inner and innate intelligence that we all possess, that we can all access, that I like to say allows us to see within, through and beyond what is merely visible, the potential in everyone and everything that wants to come forth. And in doing that, it allows us to integrate the visible with the invisible dimension. We've spoken about science being more visible and spirituality being more invisible, so that we can serve something greater through us. And so what if wisdom is what allows us to see, to sense into a greater reality, into a bigger picture, and allows us to engage with consciousness at large? So I'd just like for you to just sit with this inquiry. What if wisdom is what allows us to see a greater reality and engage with consciousness? And what is consciousness? Again, there are many beautiful definitions on consciousness, and many are somehow pointing to a primordial ground that connects us all, making us breathe as one into a big cosmic breath. What is very fascinating is that in science, quantum physics tell us that consciousness is a infinite potential, is a undivided whole, the one and the many. Mystics would say the one and all that is coming together. And this is something that India knows since the time of the Upanishads, with a beautiful concept of Atman. Atman speaks about that sacred union between our individual soul as the essence of who I am, with all that is Brahman, the source of everything. In a way, telling that there's a sparkle of light in each and every one of us, and in everything, in every atom. The word Atman and atom share the same root. There is a divine essence, there's a light that sparks in each and every atom, in matter, in nature, in humanity, everywhere. And so, in that respect, it's also beautiful that if we look at it that way, we realize that with Atman, I am all that is. In me there's consciousness. I am consciousness itself, breathing as one. There's a beautiful ancient mantra, again, that you might be familiar with, which is Soham, which means I am that. I am that pure consciousness. So with every breath, we reconnect with this greater consciousness that we all share. And consciousness, we could say, operates in a spectrum. And a spectrum that we could say goes from fear to love. Fear as the absence of love, and fear as the lowest emotional vibration we can feel as humans, love being the highest. And so if consciousness is all that is, it contains everything. It contains fear, it contains love, it contains shadows, darkness, and light. And if you think for a moment, when it's dark and you cannot see, there may be a sense of anxiety leading to chaos, leading to fear, leading to a sense of I need to survive. that may lead to conflicts and may lead to even to war. And when there's light is where you can see. And when you see, you become aware. And when you become aware, there might be a sense of coherence and ultimately love as the highest energy we can feel as humans. So in fear, in darkness, we tend to divide, we tend to separate, we tend to fight. In love consciousness, there's no separation. We cooperate. We see, sense, and feel and act as one. And this is quite fascinating because in a way it depicts consciousness as something that can change from one pole to the other. Something that may be dynamic. And what makes it dynamic? I wonder whether what makes it dynamic is something that it's in us. Our capacity to choose what conscious level in this wide spectrum we respond from. Whether we respond from a place of love, from a place of abundance, from a place of unity, or whether we react from fear, fighting, surviving, seeing ourselves only as limited parts rather than part of a greater whole. And so we can choose. And we can choose where to locate ourselves in this spectrum. So what if wisdom is about choosing love? Choosing love in this spectrum as the place from which we respond from. And what if leadership wisdom, or the wisdom leadership, as the embodiment of something, is the embodiment of love? It's wisdom in action, taking action to integrate and heal, and as such lead us towards peace. And so, as we move towards peace, I believe there's an innate intelligence that leads us towards peace. And that wants to heal, that wants to integrate. But it does require a shift in perspective. Like with every change, a change is never a linear transition from A to B, from a undesired state, the current present, to a future desirable state. It's never linear. It's a more non-linear process where we need to tap into something higher, something deeper, into a delta to create the difference, to move from A to B. So there's a shift in perspective that we need to take. And peace, I realize it is a very charged word these days. It is elusive, and yet it is so present, so natural, within our capacity, within our reach. And peace in most languages refers to something that is whole, that is complete, as a state of integration, coherence. Peace not as absence of conflict, but more as a dynamic equilibrium that takes us naturally as humans towards a sense of harmony and coherence. And if we just speak two languages, in Hebrew, shalom, or in Arabic, salam, they're even similar. Even in cultures that look so distant today, and yet they are so close in essence, as they salute each other with peace. And in Sanskrit, this idea of integration comes very beautifully with the word Shanti, that literally invokes us into integrating the head, the heart, and the hands, as it is chanted 3 times as a way to bring purity in our mind, in our speech, in our actions. So there's something around peace that speaks about integrating the head, the heart, and the hands. And that is precisely where we need to go to shift our perspective. Because most times, when there's an absence of peace, it typically has to do with a separation in the way we see things, in the way we think, in the way we feel, in the way we act. Personally, when there's a separation in how I think and how I feel and how I act, it's where a dysfunction is created. And that happens at a personal level, at the organizational level, at a systemic level. So there's something that invites us to go into an alignment between the head, the heart, and the hands. As essentially peace comes when we integrate and the spirit comes into our body and when we align vertically. And is it just also beautiful that yoga, as the word that means yoke, that means union, speaks again about that ability that we have to integrate our mind, body, and spirit as one. And doing that, be able to operate at a different level. And reconnecting with what is most sacred within ourselves. Our sense of oneness, of sacredness that we have as being part of the world and the humankind. So, for peace to happen, wisdom invites us actually to shift our perspective, to create that consciousness shift. And the shift is in seeing, thinking, feeling, and acting as one, rather than as a multitude. Can I see myself not only as an individual, isolated individual, as a part, as isolated part, but can I see myself as being a human being? Can I see myself as being part of humanity as a whole, that again thinks, feels, and acts as one? And unless we can do that shift, there will be no peace. There will always be division and separation. It's only when we are able to shift from seeing things not from my limited ego perspective, but from my perspective as being human with other fellow humans. And recognizing that there's a thread that unites us all, which is not only the air, but it's love, the love that we feel, that makes us human, that makes us really human, different from machines, different from AIs, that capacity to sense, to feel, to see things from a quantum consciousness field, if you like. So what if wisdom, finally, speaks about that conscious change that wants to happen? To see ourselves as human and humankind as a whole, to think, feel, and act as one human being, to restore a human alliance for peace. And wisdom, to conclude, if it is about seeing, it's about choosing. And choosing love and being in service of that love in becoming, that love in action. So that we can integrate, so we can be peace holders and peacemakers. And seeing means discerning, and discerning means choosing. So wisdom ultimately is about a choice that we need to make. What is the choice that we want to make as the highest expression of our species? And if you think about our species, we are called Homo sapiens. So wise man, literally, translates as man with sapientia, the Latin word for wisdom. So beings with embedded within wisdom, as that capacity is inherent, is within us. So who do we choose to be as humans, as the highest expression of humankind? Do we choose fear? Do we choose war? Or do we choose love? Do we try and converge towards peace? And if wisdom is a choice, choice ultimately is about agency. It's about leadership. It's about our capacity to act as leaders, as agents of change, agents of progress, agents of evolution. So who do we choose to be as leaders? That choice is not an insignificant choice. It's ultimately a choice between war or peace. And leadership is about alignment, aligning around a vision, holding a vision that opens up new possibilities for a better future, for integration rather than separation. So leadership in one way is ultimately about integrating in a healing, as reconnecting with the whole. Whole again comes from healing, which means make it whole again, recompose, reintegrate. So a sustainable future implies the ability for wisdom and leadership to walk hand in hand. We need sages to hold a light, a candlelight, so others can see. And we need sage leaders to hold a flame, to guard the flame of peace, to become guardian angels of peace in a way. So, in a way, it is only by showing the light to others that we can remove fear, that we can reduce the darkness, we can reduce the ignorance, the avidya, and open up for love to inform our actions and to elevate our consciousness. So in concluding, I wish wisdom to inform the ground of our sustainable future as we move over the next 3 days in this beautiful conference. And I wish us all within to be able to see within, through and beyond what is merely visible, to be able to integrate more visible and more invisible dimensions as one, in coherence. And I wish us all in the world, whether we are past, present or future leaders, to step up in becoming guardians of the flame of peace. Thank you.